Okay guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Peter Trades FX and this is the weekly outlook video. So let's start. So as always, we start our weekly outlook by checking the news. So we go to forexfactory.com right here. This is the forexfactory.com and we check our news. So what do we check? Check for our USD news. So what do we see? This Sunday, Monday up to Friday here. So on Monday we don't have news. On Tuesday we have high impact news. On Wednesday we have high impact news. On Thursday we have high impact news, and also on Thursday 10 a.m. So what does this tell me? This tells me that on this week I expect a lot of expansion on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. These are the days that price will have a lot of volatility due to this high impact news, and we can see that we don't have any crazy news like CPI, PPI, or FOMC. So yeah, so we can see that. So I anticipate the weekly candle to expand on those days. So let's go to the dollar. As always, I start with the dollar. So on the dollar, what do we see? What's happening on the dollar? The dollar starting from the monthly. Here's what I see. No, even so I just touch from the daily. So in daily, what do we see? We see that here there is a fair value gap right here, and price dipped into that fair value gap. And remember, I keep my things very simple. So my bias is determined by internal liquidity to external liquidity. Price moves from external liquidity to internal liquidity. So price here purged into this fair value gap here. This is also in the higher time frame, the weekly chart. You can see that it's also a weekly fair value gap right here. Price have purged into this weekly fair value gap and have tapped into this weekly bearish order block. So and we have seen some rejection. So price is respecting this high time frame point of interest. So so this is a weekly fair value gap. So we use something we call time frame alignment. That is, if we go to our weekly high time frame point of interest, I want to see a 4-hour market structure shift, or something like that. So what do I see on the 4-hour? Remember that we have purged into the weekly fair value gap. So this is where the move began here, the energetic move. So looking on the right, you can see that we have closed below this. We're leaving behind a fair value gap here. So this means that is a market structure shift right here. We have shifted our market structure, and so let me just put on the lipstick so that we can see more. So this is the lipstick. So beginning from here, see that this is our current daily range here. This is the premium, this is the discount. We see that price traded up into a premium into a high time frame key level, which is this weekly fair value gap. So we are at a premium inside this weekly fair value gap. So we are anticipating price to trade back from a premium into a discount. So let us zoom in and see what is really happening here. So we see that price rejected this weekly fair value gap, which is also a monthly fair value gap on the high time frame. So we rejected that. These are a daily fair value gap here. Daily fair value gap, which will close below that. So this became a daily inversion fair value gap, which will support price lower. So we can see that price is going lower. So on the 4-hour, we will see more structure. The 4-hour, we see that after price purged into this weekly fair value gap, and we broke structure right here. This is the break of structure here, market structure shift. And now we see that price came back and rejected even further into this fair value gap right here. So what do I anticipate going into this week? I anticipate price moving even lower because we broke this structure here. So what do I want to see this week? This is from this high to this low. This is our current central bank dealing range. We want to see price to moving back into premium. So this is the premium, here is the discount. So I'm anticipating price to move back into, this is the midpoint here, into a premium. I would like to see this previous weekly high being raided before us going down. But even if we don't do that, we can see that here we have a key level, a daily order block, daily bearish order block. So I'm anticipating price to go up here into this level or on this level. I don't know, we will see. And then going lower, taking out this previous week low, or even going further and taking this previous week low down here. So but this will just be enough. If you just take this one, that is enough. But I anticipate a price at least to take a minimum of this previous weekly low, or even extend further and take this previous weekly low. Also, you can see that we have a volume imbalance here. This is a void, so it's also a draw on liquidity for us. So that's my anticipation for the dollar. So I am bearish on the dollar. So we don't trade the dollar, or do we trade the currency? So I'll just go to the Euro USD. Euro USD, now we are anticipating that Euro USD should go up. So what is my current bias here? This is the daily chart, you can see right here. So what do I see? I see that on the weekly time frame, we just swept this low right here, and now we rejected upward. And as we can see here, we have a weekly fair value gap between these two candles. It's a weekly fair value gap, and this previous week, last week's candle, traded up and closed above this weekly fair value gap here, making it a weekly inversion fair value gap. So let me put on the lipstick, but before I do that, we see that we have a weekly inversion fair value gap. So let me put on the lipstick so that you can see more. So we traded inside a monthly fair value gap here, and this monthly fair value gap was in a discount zone. This is the central bank dealing range from this low to this high. So we see price traded into a discount inside this monthly fair value gap, and now after filling that fair value gap, we traded up high, and this is the weekly fair value gap, which is now with the weekly inversion fair value gap. And we are anticipating this weekly inversion fair value gap to support price higher. We can also see here we have a small daily fair value gap here, but that's okay. So what do I anticipate? I anticipate a price coming down into this weekly inversion fair value gap, and I want to see this weekly inversion fair value gap supporting price higher. So I'd like to see price to come down here, maybe take this liquidity of the previous daily low, and then being supported by this weekly inversion fair value gap. And I would love to see price move higher, maybe taking out these previous weekly high. This is a weekly high, this is a weekly high, this is a weekly high right here. So my bias is bullish on the euro. So what do we see on the GBP USD and the Euro USD? They are sister pairs, they move the same, so we anticipate more likely of the same thing to happen here. So what do we see on the weekly charts? What do we see? We see that we have a fair value gap right here, and price came down and it was supported by that. Now price came down again, and you can see rejection. It's a good rejection here, and you can see an up close candle. So I am anticipating price to keep going high, being supported by this weekly fair value gap here. You can see it right here, it's a weekly fair value gap. So let's go down to the daily and see what we see. This is a weekly fair value gap. Price bounced off that, came back, and we see that price is rejecting that. You can see that this is the daily order block, bullish order block, and now it is an active order block because we closed above it. So it's also a weekly, this is the current weekly, this is a weekly inversion fair value gap right here. You can see here it is, and we traded above that and closed above that in our last week trading. So what do I anticipate? I anticipate a price to be supported by this weekly inversion fair value gap to go higher. And we see that that is one confluence, and also we see that here we have a daily fair value gap. So these are two confluences that are aligned to each other. So this makes it a high probability key level. So I want to see price come down, being supported by this daily fair value gap, and also this weekly inversion fair value gap. And I want to see that a supporting price, and I would like to see us moving higher. You can see we have the previous weekly high. Also here we have this previous weekly equal highs. These are equal highs. So I would like to see price being supported there, and then maybe then pushing up, taking out this high. And if we have enough volatility, we can even go and reach out to these highs here. And that is my bias. That's my bias for the pound, and that's it, guys. Remember that this is our bias. We enter the week anticipating a one-sided movement, but when the week is trading, we don't trade what we think, we trade what we see, because price will always tell us what it wants to do, and that's our job, to read what the price is telling us. As always, I wish you a blessed week. May it be a profitable week for us, and as always, put your hope in Christ, man. These markets are very, very, very unpredictable, but in Christ everything is predictable. Life is certain. Peace.